The Africa Investment Forum wraps up today. At the closing ceremony this afternoon, organisers will explain what deals have been signed. Well, for more on this story, we cross to our reporter Nthakoana Ngatane, who's standing by for us at the Sandton Convention Centre. Nthakoana, just tell us what's happening there right now.
Well, Nompu, as you've indicated, announcements are now being made. They will be concluded later on this afternoon, but let me just give you a few that we have heard here and some of the biggest. And of course, you know that the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, was one of the first presidents to arrive here. And for his country, Air Sky Rail of Accra will get $2.6 billion US. And of course, he has also said that Ghana plans to work with South Africa to create something like the Gautrain in that country. So it will be interesting for us to hear how that is going to happen. The second thing that is coming out is $800 million US for that DRC Congo and Brazzaville, the Kinshasa-Brazzaville bridge and rail project. And of course, that is expected to link the two countries and to open up trade, to open up movement, because right now, as we understand, between the two cities is a river, and that river is now being crossed by boat, so that road will open up trade between the two cities. The third thing that I can talk about is $400 million US that is coming from the Africa 50, and this is an infrastructure organization that is funded by the African Development Bank, and for them, that money is going to the Rwanda Kigali Innovation City. And so these are just some of the projects that are coming out of here, and we expect to hear more later on, Nompu. But as you can hear, these are big numbers, and of course, the main aim is to create projects or to fund projects that are going to open up opportunities that are going to stimulate trade and economic growth on the continent. So we will get more later on and update you as we get them. Nompu?
All right, thanks very much for that, Nthakoana. Okay, so in terms of the Gautrain, I know that the MEC for Transport and Roads was looking for funding. Have we heard anything in this regard?
Well, this is what we're waiting to find out, Nompu. For South Africa, this is one of the biggest projects, because one of the first things that we asked him is, if you're looking to expand the Gautrain, if you're looking, because he said to us that for him, the vision for Gauteng transport is rail and public transportation. And of course, this would mean that if you're going in that direction, you're going to have to negotiate with the taxi industry. You're going to ensure that roads in the province as well as the city are in a good condition. And of course, he said to us that these are just some of the things that they need to be discussing with the people that he said were oversubscribed in those sessions. And I guess when I come out of here, Nompu, because I had to step out, I could not hear what the other projects were allocated. But I think one of the first things that we will then do is find out how much South Africa and particularly that project got for its expansion. But as I indicated, Ghana already has said that it wants South Africa to lend its support to try and replicate what it sees with the Gautrain. And I suppose they see that it is a good project, and there will be learning opportunities from one African country to another.
Things that I always ask about is the fact that African countries have to invest in their infrastructure first before they can smoothly trade with one another. When people talk about the African Continental Trade Agreement that's been signed, and that I understand Nigeria is now prepared to sign as well, what are they saying about the timelines for that? Because it's going to be a lot of work for these African countries to get their houses in order first.
Do you know, Nompu, it's not only going to be a lot of work, because yesterday I walked into a session that was talking about fragmentation on the continent. Now, the figures are daunting. If you look at the fact that one of the people that we spoke to, who was from Egypt, says he actually has 38 visas to be able to do business on the continent. And that is, you know, indescribable, if you like. But also the fact that you have so many different regions and policies. You have SADC, you have ECOWAS and you have all these regions that are fragmented and they don't work the same. So if you want to trade from not just one country to another, but one region to another, there are so many barriers to that trade. So these are just some of the things that session was trying to unearth, to say that while we are here looking at infrastructure development per country, looking at removing the bottlenecks per country, there are still bottlenecks around the countries themselves, and there are bottlenecks around the regions themselves. So there is a lot that needs to be done. Earlier on today, Nompu, I spoke to the CEO of the new partnership for Africa's development, and that is NEPAD. You know that the vision for NEPAD came from South Africa. You also know that it has something called the Africa Peer Review Mechanism. This is a body that is expected to ensure that there is good governance on the continent. But he was saying that one of the key challenges is still the participation of women. And so he was saying to us that, in fact, what women should be doing is not waiting to be empowered, but to seize the power themselves. So these are just some of the challenges, Nompu. Fragmentation, exclusion of women and the youth. So a lot still has to be done. So even as we say these figures, and we're impressed by the attitude that seems to be changing in terms of wanting Africa to move away from trade and go to investment, there is a lot to be done. Nompu?
Okay, Nthakoana, thank you very much for that comprehensive reporting. More news coming up for